Good morning, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining our Gratitude Open Mic event. This event is the culmination of a week's worth of events, activities, and seminars that helped us all to slow down and take a minute to acknowledge the things that we're grateful for. As Dr. Beverly shared during the Art of Expression and Mental Well-Being session, gratitude is not just a feeling, it's an action. And I think this week we all took some action, which is great. My name is Jared, and it's my pleasure to introduce our MC for this event, Mr. Tomas Stanton, who is a poet, writer, teaching artist, and community activist. He is dedicated to advancing the arts of spoken word and hip hop as a platform for youth development and civic engagement. He is the co-founder of Phoenix's premier youth spoken word ensemble, Phonetic. Phonetic Spit was founded by Thomas and Merlin Hepworth, who led the workshops during the week. Phonetic Spit is a unique mixture of hip-hop, theater, and poetry that promotes leadership, conscious community engagement, and aesthetic excellence. So please help me welcome Thomas and Merlin.
Hello, hello, hello. Thank you so much. Appreciate you all for creating this space because I think it's been an interesting year. I'm going to use the word interesting in lieu of some other adjectives, but being grateful I think is very important. And so thank you all for being here. Let's have some fun. Thank you for reading that bio. It was funny in our tech rehearsal yesterday. They mentioned they were going to read my bio, and I was like, wow, well, I hope that's a good one. But it's funny because our bios are these things that we write to kind of talk about all the great things that we want people to know about ourselves. But like the reality is that we as human are very complex and diverse and nuanced beings, right? And there is a mixture of the greatness as well as the maybe not so great. And so I'm going to give you the not so great version of my bio. Hello, my name is Tomas. My favorite color is green. I love red velvet cupcakes. Eggs give me really bad gas. One of my biggest fears is having to go number 2 on a first date. But my dance moves are amazing. Sometimes, but sometimes I'm just not in the mood to dance. Sometimes I'd rather play video games than cuddle. I go to the movies by myself because the movies is like really expensive. And right now I can't afford to fund my dreams and entertain this materialistic society. I'm just keeping it real. I typically only cry at church and funerals. So I try to avoid both of them. But seriously, with all joking aside, I wish society didn't tell men that men don't cry because there's many days where I feel like I just need to. I've never hit a woman and I never will. But I have broken multiple women's hearts whose names I struggle to remember. And one of my goals as a father is to teach my son that that's kind of like the same thing. My eyes are green if you look at them closely and in the right lights, but most of the time they're brown because most of the time you'll never get close enough or in the right lights. I am the perfect blend of my green-eyed mother and my brown-eyed father. My brown-eyed father left a hole in my mother's heart when the fear of fatherhood didn't mix too well with his whiskey. So my mother filled that void with heroin ripping through her veins. I was born into this world high as a bird, destined to be an outcast, widening the hole in my mother's heart. My mother, she is a survivor. Her smile is like an autumn sunrise. One of the reasons why I truly believe in God, we even share the same birthday, but they say I'm just a lighter skinned version of my father. I often wonder if he was a poet too. If he had figured out how to dance his insecurities behind fancy words and metaphors, just like me, they say I'm all the good that my father was too afraid to be. Well, I wonder if fear is hereditary and if he'd be proud of all the skeletons that I keep trapped in my closet. All those childhood dreams I drowned in cheap 40-ounce bottles, all these adulthood dreams I now drown in top shelf Moscato. You see, upgrading your taste doesn't really change the facts. Hello, my name is Tomas, and I'm a lover of love, but I'm really scared of the commitment that it must be rooted in. That's why I often run from things that I should face and die face first, and the things that I should run from. If I were a website, I'd be under construction, a work in progress, and no 20-day money-back guarantee. I've been told that I have pretty feet, but most days I only walk barefoot when I feel safe. So more than likely, you're just gonna have to take my word for it. But like I said, my dance moves are amazing sometimes, but sometimes I'm just not in the mood to dance. Thank you very much. Hello. Woo, 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 woo. I thank you, Divine. Divine's the only face I can see, so I appreciate all the emoji claps, but I love to see people's faces. Thank you, Jared. I can see your beautiful face now. Kim. So if you feel comfortable, throw your video on. If not, it's all good. But yeah, that's who I am in a nutshell. It's funny because I wrote that poem probably close to 10, maybe 10, 11 years ago. And it's still fairly accurate. What doesn't say much about my personal growth, but anyways, so I'll be your host today. Thank you for joining us. This is an open mic for us to share kind of who we are as individuals. That's the beauty of poetry and storytelling. It's a place where we can share who we are at a particular moment of time, right? And for me personally, poetry is a way for me to navigate the world, to make sense of things that don't often make sense or add up, right? So sometimes in my poems, I'm talking about things where I don't necessarily have the answers, I have the questions. And sometimes those questions could be different questions than what somebody else is experiencing or somebody else is going through on the same topic. And I say all that to say is that in this space, we want to create a brave space for everyone to share their poems, because sharing your poetry is very scary, even in the virtual context. It's still kind of scary. But in order for it to be a brave space, there's a couple of things that need to happen, right? One, we have to respect everybody and where they're at, okay? So we respect the poet, we listen to them, we give the emoji claps, we give the, these. If you want to get in the chat like Kim did and said snaps with multiple S's, right? I appreciate that. So we respect the poet. And the poets, you need to respect the fact that this is a space and a community where we're coming to share who we are, to share love, to share gratitude. So just keep it simple, right? Don't do anything that will disrespect that space. Don't, and there's a thing that a lot of people talk about when you say no hate speech, and hate is a very broad context, and it's interesting, right? Hate is to one person could be something different to the other person. So what I say is just don't be a mean person on this open mic, right? Share your truth, but make sure you're doing it in a essence of love. All right. So and then also if you sign up, you can do one poem at a time. If you want to do multiple poems, then just sign back up. I'm sure we will have time. There's not a ton of people on this thing. And with that being said, if you would like to sign up, you can throw that in the chat. Jared and Kim are going to help with the chat and kind of let me know what's going on in regards to who's signing up and things of that nature. So if you would like to read a poem, just go into the chat and say, hello, my name is, and I would like to read a poem. All right. And then you could read that poem and we can have dialogue about it and all that good stuff. And also, while we're waiting for people to sign up, we are going to have some amazing performances from our featured artists. We have Merlin, my guy right here, my brother, co-founder and executive director of Phonetic Spit. We have one of my dearest friends and somebody who I love and respect so much, Divine Valentine, one of the dopest poets in the Valley, is going to spit some poetry. And then we also have another feature, Jay, who should be showing up at any moment. So I'm going to kick it to Divine because I think there is no better way to really start the momentum of this open mic than with one of our legends here in the Valley. So Divine is going to rock a couple pieces for you. Remember the rules, give the snaps, give the love, and without further ado, Ms. Divine, it is on you.
Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. All right, so I hope you like my pieces that I chose, and that's really it. All right. I stopped breathing before I learned how to let go. I fell before I knew my strength, and even then, I thought I was limited before I went the distance. My character was built from this, and like a stack of Legos, as long as I fit, I never questioned it. I almost thought pain was normal attire, so I began to accessorize. In my ears, I wore lies and covered the truth like mascara over my eyes. Lipstick served as cover up to shut up and just smile. I bought pain, gave it a name, and married blame. I dressed for the occasion, walked the red carpet, and waved to the shame. I thought I had a fan base and crazy support. When I needed to sit for a minute and gather my thoughts, I found myself going through divorce. Through the process, I found the identity I thought I lost. I didn't realize losing my confidence came at a cost. I was staggering at first till I found my balance. Then I humbled myself and began to walk in forgiveness. I had to lighten my load or explode with emotion. I learned to rise above the notion of taking it personal. I forgive you. I know that decision sounds inconceivable, but it was a must for the real me, the spiritual. I no longer blame you. And my heart, though it feels broken, is not really. If we could stop being afraid of our power to love past the hurt feelings, we can love unconditionally. But before that can happen, I need to forgive you. Because my mission now is to see this through and inspire the world with the truth that it's possible to experience life without battle wounds and take hits like famous baseball stars and knock out the box the unnecessary parts. I felt I had to turn myself inside out in order to no longer doubt what rests within me. I almost gave up all my energy. I almost lost hope. But I am no contradiction. I carry God in my conviction, so I am responsible. I am a walking miracle who has not only learned to love and forgive, but forgive in love. Thank you.
Yeah. Nice. I love it. I love it. Beautiful, Divine.
Right.
You
Thank
can do
you.
another one for us.
All right, here it goes. Here it goes. All right, this is from my ladies. This is from my ladies, okay? It's titled, Do You Know Who You Are? You know who you are because you've been that. Okay, you may have slipped and bumped your head a few times, but look, you've recovered from that. You're capable of so much, and yet you sell yourself short. You should give yourself a chance to venture and explore. Yourself is infinite and full of all your desires. Believe in your ability to thrive. You'd be amazed at what you can acquire. I'm not just telling you this to gas your head, I'm reminding you of your power instead. You already know this stuff. I'm just bringing you back to a memory. At one point, you caught amnesia, but it was only temporary. Wake up, my sister, great giant you, because when you rise, your children will too. There's no mystery as to how you do you. Just make up your mind and let your actions show and prove. Words don't teach. Life experience pulls you through. You just got to be ready and willing to build your testimony for those that need to hear your truth. There's wisdom in the root, and you're the fruit. Your soul is watered by you. Do you know who you are? You sure do. Look how far you've traveled. Remember the knots you unravel? You're a genius for real. Only a genius can make something out of nothing appear. That's God-like right there. You just got to know that you matter. Everything you ever wished for was served on a platter, but you couldn't digest it all. You got to go back to eating portions, small. Remember, chew your food slow. Enjoy the moment because you deserve it. Pull back for a second and relearn this. You don't have to physically go anywhere to find who you are. I promise you are not far. Breathe deep, my sister, and there you are. Thank you, y'all. Thank you for your time.
Yeah. I absolutely love Divine. Words are just so powerful, and even though that was written not for me, I found value in that poem, right? And that's the beautiful thing about stories. It connects us. The closest distance between two people is a story. We all come from different walks of life, right? Even two people who grow up in the same neighborhood, kind of same family structure, same social economical structure, are going to have different experiences in life, you know, and it's those experiences that make us unique, and it's sharing those experiences and what connects us as humans, right? And so I absolutely love this platform. So thanks again for providing it. And I am going to ask, before we get into the next performer, which right now nobody has signed up, and that's no pressure. But what I will say is, I can almost guarantee that there's at least 3 or 4 people that want to share something, but each one of those individuals is waiting for one person to go first. They're waiting. They're like, oh, if Chris goes, then I'll go, right? And that's how momentum is built. So I ask you to be brave and be that first person. Oh, look at that, Luis. Right, Luis said Luis will go. So absolutely. So Luis, I'm going to have you on deck, but before we do that, because we're doing gratitude, I want everyone to go into the chat and just put one thing that you're grateful for right now. But don't push enter until I say go. This is a chat bomb, right? So just put one thing you're grateful for. And you don't have to spell it right, because I'm probably not going to spell it right, but that doesn't mean that I don't appreciate it. All right, mine is in there. Everybody has one thing they're grateful for. All right, on the count of 3, we're gonna hit enter. 1, 2, 3. Bang, look at that. Oh, I love it. I'm grateful for seeing another day, my family, health, and on the road to recovery, good health, family. My dog, girly girl. I love it. My daughter's life, amazing wife, stable job, family. Oh yeah, I love it. I'm grateful for macaroni and cheese. I'm just gonna keep it real honest. It's one of my favorite things in the world. So beautiful. All right, thank you all for sharing. We'll do some more of that as we go. But right now, I'm gonna turn the microphone over to Luis. Am I saying that right? Is it Louis or Luis?
It's Luis.
Luis.
It's my workshop.
Yeah. All right, beautiful.
And so was Ashley B. Hi, Ashley.
All right. So we're gonna let Luis rock, and then anyone else. Ashley told you to hush. All right, here we go, Luis. It's yours.
Just a heads up. I have birds, and it can be pretty noisy. So if you hear any screaming, you know why. Okay. So I wrote this one on Tuesday in the writer's workshop. I look into those big blue bright doll eyes and I see nothing but the girl who will always be there to support me. She crinkles her nose before she tells me how much love she has in her heart, and I can't help but to think that it couldn't be as much as I do. Because when we aren't together, it really tears me apart. I mean, the distance is hard, but we will always get through it, and whatever she needs, I'm always ready to do it, because I couldn't imagine what life would be like without her, and I love every detail and aspect about her. The jokes that she makes about Cat in the Hat, they aren't really that funny, yet I can't help to laugh. And that's all I had of it.
Oh, that was beautiful, Luis. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
I love it. Yes. I love that. And so you were in the writing workshop, correct?
Yes, sir.
Is this one of the first times that you've explored kind of writing poetic narratives?
I mean, in 4th grade, we had to write a book with poems in it, but other than that, yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, hopefully it sparks something, and whether you do it to share in community, one of the things that I was saying, I'm sure Merlin has said it because I stole it from him. But you know, writing is as a process for yourself first, right? So writing first and foremost is for you. Sharing it is something we do for the larger community. So I encourage you, whether you plan on sharing or have spaces to share, to always keep it in your practice to write, right? It's very important to just get those things that are on the inside of us out. They help us move forward in the world. So thank you for that. All right, excellent. So we have another feature who's having some internet problems, go figure, the virtual space. So I'm going to pass it. Hold on, let me first look to see if anyone else signed up.
Anita was in my workshop.
Anita, okay. Merlin's just calling people out, all right, and that's okay. But
Jared has said that he'd step up.
Yeah,
Jared
has poems.
All right. It looks like there are some people who are very excited about Jared reading. I don't see Jared's box anymore. Are you still here, Jared?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, okay, cool. I don't see your box. I can hear you, but would you like to share?
Yeah, so
all right.
This is the one I wrote in yesterday's workshop, and let me just get to it. Despite feeling like the world is full of hate, I'm happy to see a stranger smile. The stranger sells mangoes on the street corner outside the KFC. He has nothing but a smile and hope, and yet he still finds it in his heart to share both of them with me. I feel empowered. I know that you don't have to be Elon or Bezos to change the world. A smile, a wave, a warm embrace, a small token of generosity. When you plant the tree, you may no longer have the seed, but the tree will grow tall and bear mangoes for both the stranger and me.
Oh man, that was fire. Fire, Jared. Thank you for
That's all right.
sharing. I love that. I love that. I also I'm sure you might get this a lot, but you clearly have an accent.
Yeah.
And I'm always jealous of poets who have accents because I'm just like, it makes it just sound so much better to me. Maybe it's because I'm like, I wish I could talk like that. But
What's the accent? South African?
Yeah.
yeah, beautiful.
Well, I think you all have accents. They all sound very cool. Wish I sounded like you
There we
guys.
go, right? Perspective. See, there you go. Perspective. All right, beautiful. So let's see. All right, so if you want to sign up, we've had 2 brave souls sign up. Throw it in the text box, but I'm going to throw it to one of my favorite poets in the world, which is the gentleman sitting right next to me, Merlin Hepworth. I'm going to slightly tilt the screen. And yeah, it is his turn. And then if you want to sign up, just throw it in the text, and there we go.
Oh yeah, Danielle's here too. Nevaeh. Okay, yeah, all right. Here's a piece about, well, this is one thing that I want to say too before I do my piece is like, obviously we can't all be together in the same physical space, but if you did bring a poem, you should really think about reading. And I know that when you look at maybe Divine or Tomas, or even Luis or some other folks that I've read, it's like, we have, at least Divine, myself, and Tomas have over 10 years of experience like being on stage and performing in front of people. If you're afraid, like, it's super natural thing to feel, even if it is over a screen, because we care about the thing that we created. And for me, when I first started, I was so afraid. The first time I got on a mic, I was shaking, like the paper was shaking. I was so nervous, so like those feelings are, it's okay to feel that way. In fact, it's very natural for you to feel that way. So keep that in mind. Emily, Darren, Caitlin, Mills, Anita, Chris, Kylie, Nevaeh, all of y'all, keep that in mind as we proceed and as we continue. This piece that I'm going to do is actually about that. Actually, it's about like a little open mic that we did in a prison. So it goes, it is not uncommon in my line of work to witness a child shake as they read a poem for the first time inside of a classroom. But yesterday, I was not inside of a classroom. Yesterday, I was inside of a federal prison on the yard where self-proclaimed Pisas, Peckerwoods, and Crips conduct business against the backdrop of razor wire fences. On this particular occasion, inmates listened as 16 of the 35 men I taught in poetry workshops the previous week spilled their stories onto a single microphone. And the last man to read was a man named C. His legs shook with nerves, his neck scar glamorous enough to be featured on TV during a special about gangs, content designed to keep suburban viewers amazed as if the corporations they work for ain't on some gangster shit, please. C's bullet scars dip like fingers in wet sand against his body. I stand and watch as he reads. He is the shyest light in my classroom of convicts where the eyes of these men follow me each day as I write on the board, a dim glow trapped in their gazes, concealing all the caged memories of their childhoods where the majority of them were raised to believe that they were mistakes. And a few bad choices along the way landed them in this place. Seems like their whole lives been misshaped. Somehow C's legs shake with purpose. nervous as he speaks about his life. He is deathly afraid of what we're all afraid of, exposing ourselves in front of a set of eyes that just might redefine us with their judgment, explaining ourselves to a room of people who may not listen, who may not understand, who just might dismiss our humanity by labeling us bad or no good, or bad and no good, or poor or less, or poor or less, or disposable like a body. In Ferguson, Missouri, if only you could see all of our reflections trapped in the tremble rushing through C's veins as each word tumbled out of his mouth like a gas canister filled with tulips, like hollowed out grenades filled with lilacs, thumping through the eardrums of 1,000 inmates standing on the yard, standing and listening. Yeah, listening. An audience as warm as any room of humans willing to love.
Woo! Love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Beautiful. Yeah, to kind of reiterate what Merlin said as he goes and has a coughing fit. Yeah, one of the things I think it's important is that to understand that your story, your voice, your perspective, it is super valuable, right? Super, super valuable. It's not about how dope or how amazing the poem is. Like that's all superficial stuff. And yes, we're humans and we're subject to the superficial. But you know, the power is in the fact that you are telling your story, right? And those are poems like that poem Merlin has performed on stages in front of thousands of people. So he has it memorized. Divine had poems memorized, but Divine will also tell you that we write poems every day. You know, we don't have them memorized because we're working them out, right? So for example, I'm going to check, oh, Trisha will go next. Yes, I'll go after Trisha then, right? Cool. But like, I'm going to read a poem that I'm working on. It's a work in progress, right? So it's not something that I've memorized or anything like that. But with that being said, I'm going to throw the mic to Trisha, and you go ahead and do it.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to share just a simple piece that I wrote when I was getting my PhD. I was in a class, and my professor, he would always say we needed to write to save our lives. And he was so spot on about that. And so he kind of challenged us to write a piece on why do we write? And so this is what I wrote. So why do we write, you and I? What about this work so compels us? Sure, some may write to become famous, to be on Oprah's show, to sell their manuscript to Hollywood, to become rich. But we who lug ragged journals with us and sit in quiet corners of coffee shops and under trees and parks writing, we who steal scribbly moments from our work, like shoplifters at Circle K, we are not they. We are after more. And though we may not know just what it is we are after, we are following a need as deep and ancient as those of the Paleolithic artists who drew on the walls of the caves some 20,000 years ago. The need to tell our stories and find meaning in our lives, a need more denied now than ever before. So I would suggest we write for no less than to save ourselves. We write to escape the trap of our training, to take back our eyes and our voices, to recover our hearts and our spirits. We write to save ourselves from our primary training in America to be consumers. We write to escape the trap of having watched 20,000 hours of television by the time we graduate from high school, to escape the approximately 3,000 advertisements we are exposed to per day. We write to find a deeper vision of life than the deadly, mechanistic, I-it vision that we have been given. Aware of it or not, we write for no less than this. Now, if all that sounds ideal and grandiose, don't be intimidated. Just do as you have done. Open your journal daily, religiously, and say what you see inside and out. Tell your stories. Scream your anger so you can let go of it, so you will no longer be trapped in it. Tell of your wounds, your hurts, so they will heal. Tell of your losses, cry out your grief in words so you can go on. Look closely at everything and write what you see. And doing this, you will see more and have more to write. And writing more, you will see more. This work is never done, on and on, learning and growing into greater visions, better being. And writing thus, dare I say it, you will come to care, to love everything. It is inevitable, because writing thus, all those it's we have been trained to see start to come alive, no longer mere objects. They start to become thous, as in I and thou, as in thou art that. Our words break them out of their cages and they ravish us. We reach out with our words and touch the world, and the world touches us back. And we are never the same. Those people, those trees, those amazing creatures, this grass beneath our feet, those clouds, that sky, on, and the world comes alive for us. We stagger through it, taking notes, properly amazed at last. So, writer, storyteller, do not sell yourself short. Do not think small of your quiet scratching, your word work in this world. For if you are writing with a good heart, you are writing with soft eyes and a beginner's mind, and there is no better work for you to be doing. You are doing more than a millionaire CEO in this world. Write on toward peace, and know that you are not alone, that others are on this journal journey with you. Thanks.
Yeah, beautiful. I love it. I love it. That was beautiful. And I think that's so important to examine why we write. I think because again, just like I was saying about having different experiences, we all have different reasons why we do things. One of the reasons why I choose to write is because I want to control, and I don't like the word control, but I want to control my narrative, right? I don't want somebody to put me in a box based on what I look like or what I am perceived by them. I want to control my narrative. I want to tell my story because we all have stories. And if we don't tell them, then somebody else will, and then they'll get it wrong, right? And it's our responsibility to combat that. So that was beautiful. Thank you, Trisha. I'm going to read a poem about 15 years ago when I was a young lad. I'm not a young lad anymore. I used to work, one of my first kind of real meaningful jobs was working in a Boys and Girls Club. For any of you all familiar with the Boys and Girls Club community center. And it was the same community center that I attended as a youth. And so I was working with a lot of kids that were from the same neighborhood that I grew up in, right? And that was really important to me. And so one day I said, I want to just write kind of the day in the life of the Boys and Girls Club so that people could understand what it was. So this is Monday through Friday at the Boys and Girls Club 15 years ago. Monday, as soon as Victor is dropped off by the school bus, he flies through the doors of the community center, whips off his pack, pulls out the superhero cape he got for his birthday, and then for the rest of the afternoon only answers to Captain America. During homework hour, I help Victor count to 50, argue over the proper spelling of cat, then wrap it up with an overly animated reading of the world famous chicka chicka boom boom, when all of a sudden Victor's eyes swell like helium in balloons. He points and yells, "Watch out, Mr. Tomas, there's a monster behind you." I frightenedly turn around because that's just part of the gig as Victor yells, "April Fool's essay." Breaks my heart to have to tell him it's still March. But keeping it 100 with the kids is also just part of the job. Tuesday. Today, I am teaching Passport to Manhood to a group of 12-year-old boys who aren't fully aware yet of the toxic currents they are wading through. Their evolutionary palates numb to the taste of machismo. To them, a passport to manhoods is creased dicky pants and misspelled and misplaced humor. Gender roles because that's the way it's always been done. Tuck your feelings, son. Never run, never scared, never no way gonna ever see me cry. Halfway through our store-bought lesson on the differences in anatomy between males and females, Jose tells the group that boys have more bones in their bodies than girls. I ask him to defend his claim before I remember what it was to be 12 in a room with your peers anxiously looking to stand out with that good but not so good joke pulling at your tongue. Before I can redirect, he bounces out of his chair, chest puffed like a rooster, and says, "Fool, girls don't have boners." Wednesday. Today, that's a true story. Today is poetry club. A concoction of vulnerability and metaphor, fear and resilience, deconstructing poem by poem a world that too often asks young people to hold their tongues. I encourage them to shoot their stories like the stars that they are, but avoid the cliche. Always show instead of tell. There is power in your voice. Today's prompt is dreams. I ask them what they want to be when they grow up. Myra says she wants to be a teacher like Miss Cordova. Tanya, a dancer, doctor, and mother. Mariah wants to marry Justin Bieber, but after she becomes a neuroscientist, Carlos, the only boy in the group, says, I just want to be alive. Thursday, I'm back with Jose and crew. Today's topic of conversation is love. I ask if they've ever been in love. Their eyes wander the room in silence. I ask, is love a noun or a verb? How do you know when you are in love? I can tell this word love intimidates these young men. For young men like this, the word love is too often synonymous with weak. I think back to when I was 12. What was my knowledge of this word, this feeling, this action? I remember a fear that splintered my bones. Muted emotions meant survival in my hood. In this hood, hood don't love like gangsters don't dance. Then Luis raised his hand. You can hear the trembling in his voice. He asked me, what do I think about love? Not fully prepared to answer, I remember my grandmother's garden, how she spent hours with her hands in the soil planting seeds to harvest, how she watered her seeds, talked to her seeds, sometimes sang to her seeds, how those seeds would eventually blossom, some into flowers that may have thorns. Sometimes beautiful things can hurt if mishandled. Sometimes love can hurt if mishandled. I tell them that love is kind of like a garden. It requires work and can be messy at times, but a life without harvest leads to starvation. Luis tells me that his nana has a garden too. Friday is fun day. Movie day, pizza day. We all love Friday at the club. 3 p.m., the countdown begins. Like clockwork, Victor comes flying through the door, whips off his backpack, puts on his superhero cape, runs up and yells, watch out, Mr. Tomas, there's a monster behind you. I frighteningly turn around again because, like I said, it's just part of the job as Victor screams, March Fool's essay. All right. Oh man, you know what's beautiful is when you can enjoy your own poem. That's what's beautiful. When you can read a poem and get as much laughter out of it as you hope other people do. So it's funny because that young individual, Luis, is now a man with a young man with a family. He's in the military and is doing what I believe amazing things, considering kind of the environment that we all grew up in. And so I just like to point that out because those are true stories and words. And you know, I think if you like I said with the garden, if you invest in people, that eventually, you know, those individuals will blossom. And so, all right, cool. Great memories at the club. Which club did you work at? I worked at a lot of them. It was in the Metro Phoenix. So that was the Gable Boys and Girls Club, which is right off 16th Street in McDowell. But I've worked at Rosenswag, Robeson, Stewart. I was with the club for many years. So, but that was the Gable Boys and Girls Club. All right, cool. Is anybody else inspired to read? I'm gonna call on Divine here in a second to do another batch of poems. Cool, Michael at the Chandler Club. Yep. Hey, look, the club is the club no matter where it's at. That's the beautiful thing about the Boys and Girls Club. You can go to any club and you will experience what I call chaotic community. Chaotic community. So, you know, it's crazy, Michael. Sorry, I don't mean to go on a tangent, but I have so I currently live right across the street from that Boys and Girls Club that I worked at, that I grew up in. My wife and I were fortunate to buy a house in the neighborhood that we both grew up in. And my soon-to-be 5-year-old son, Santiago, will turn 5 in June. And it just dawned on me that I was like, oh, he's going to be able to go to the club this summer, which is like crazy to me. But you know, he'll be a third generation at that club. So beautiful. All right. So if anyone wants to read, just throw your name in the chat. It's completely cool that you don't have to. I think we're all enjoying ourselves. But I'm going to ask Divine to share another poem because Divine is amazing, and you know that's what we're here for.
Thank you again, and thank you for everyone who shared. I wanted to jump in between, but I was like, no, let me not, because I'll wait my turn. But I do want to say that even after all these years, I started writing when I was 12, but I didn't perform my work until I was about 18. And even now, after so many years, I still get nervous. I still can't eat before I perform. I still, there's so many things. I go into a whole ritual before I actually perform because I know I'm being channeled and I just want to be clear and ready and on point. So I know everybody goes to their thing, but I say that to just hopefully encourage those who do write and want to share to keep writing and share. You know, even if it's your closest friend or your relative or whatever, or even if it's yourself and you just want to hear yourself out loud, you know, it's good to get it out and to get it off your chest. So, all right. So let's see. One piece, right? I'm only doing one. Okay. All right. Here I go. Okay. Back in the day, pens and pencils used to dance with my fingers and write words that lifted my soul. Back in the day, boys wrote love letters. I had no idea back in the day. I didn't care, didn't fear. I went with my heart and cried sometimes. I fell in love at times. I even got out of my face. You know, got out of place. It didn't matter. I used to reach for the stars, no problem. Things were never out of my reach. Imagine any problem I could solve them. It was easy being my own superhero. Gave myself superpowers and thought nothing about it back in the day. It just felt like stuff came easy to me. No effort to just be. And now my fingers do the two-step on keyboards, click clacking my words together on an unfamiliar chord. Now instead of love letters, I get cute emoji texts, sending back round happy faces with a serious face and hope he feels me. Now love songs rub me wrong because it ain't like that, y'all. Shit, love is an idea and actions make it so. So now I love slowly and sometimes not at all. I'm not insensitive. I just give a little, not my all. And that's my prerogative. I do what I feel. If it ain't grinding me to my core, I label it not real. And that's the deal. It's crazy now how reaching for the stars is still doable to just grab one of them bitches and make it useful. How becoming my own superhero is still possible. Some things never change. I mean, the sun might stay out longer and the cold might accompany the rain, but that's natural. And I'm not mad. When I think about it, I'm kind of glad that I had it back in the day. And my now, I will continue to create. Thank you guys for your time. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it. Beautiful. I think it's funny because Divine, I don't know that I've ever heard Divine use profanity. I know that Divine does use profanity because I know enough about her to know, but I don't know that I've ever heard it. So when you said just grab one of those bitches, I was like, yeah, just grab it. Oh, I love it. I love it. This, I don't know about you all, but this has given me just, I don't know. I feel great. You know, I feel really good right now. And it's interesting because the virtual space, I think we all have the virtual fatigue. But I think that it's these type of virtual experiences that give me joy right now, where we can kind of, you know, share and not be in a meeting, right, or a classroom, but to just share. And so I want to say thank you again in the spirit of gratitude. And I want to invite every one of you to continue to be in community with each other, to create your own communities, right? To build, to take. I'm going to speak to all the younger folks in the room, and like create the community that you want to be a part of, right? Even if it's difficult, even if you get told no, you know, like if you want to see something like this exist, then do it, right? Create it, try it. You know, even if one person shows up to your open mic, that one person turns into 2 and then 3 and then 4, and before you know it, you have this beautiful community, because these things are important to connect us as humans. We've been disconnected for the last year in an interesting way. And so as we start to hopefully safely go back into the world and engage with folks, be in community, create this community, and then, you know, you can always be a part of the community that we work really hard to create as well. So Phonetic Spit, we're doing things. Yeah, so thank you all. I think that if there's anyone on this call that is like got the burning desire to share a poem, we will absolutely make space for that. So this is kind of your last opportunity at this moment to you know, to face that fear, to share your story. Throw it in the chat. I'm gonna give it a minute, or not an actual minute.
I'll read, Tomas.
Yeah? All right. Woo woo. All right, Christina. Christina, you got it. Go ahead.
So I've been on the background of the workshops this past week. So little by little, I'm putting something together. So, okay. Slumped. Why is she so slumped? Is she sad or just content to be in my presence? I hope she feels loved. I wasn't even sure I could love her. You see, I've been afraid of dogs my whole life. They make my skin itch and have sharp teeth. But her, she's different. She's so sweet, and her teeth are only sharp so she can eat her food. And she doesn't make my skin itch anymore. She loves to cuddle on the couch. I love to cuddle on the couch. She's my best friend, and we're both slumped.
Nice. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I am, what kind of dog do you have, Christina?
She's a chocolate lab.
Oh, those are beautiful dogs. Yeah, very beautiful. I have 2 dogs that I make no issues with telling people that I love my dogs slightly more than my kids. I'm just gonna keep it real. Like, you know, like I love them all, but my dogs get it in a different, because there's just something about them, you know. So that was beautiful. I love that, and thank you so much for sharing. And I think that is a perfect way to kind of, you know, bring things to a close. I am going to thank everyone on here for coming, for sharing. Even if you didn't share your words, you shared your spirit, and that's very important. Thank you to Divine, our feature, my best friend Merlin, for doing all the work this week. Staff and faculty, make sure you give them an extra shout out, because they were very diligent about making this happen. And with that being said, I'm going to throw it back to them so that they can give the proper closing to everything. So thank you all. Kim, you can take the mic if you need it, or throw it to Jared, whoever wants to close out.
Yep, Jared's got it.
Yeah, thanks Tomas, thanks Merlin, thanks Divine. Thank you everyone who shared, and like Tomas says, everyone who showed up. It's nice to just have a whole big group of us here. I really enjoyed this experience. I didn't think I was going to share, but it felt really good to share. So thank you for the opportunity. It's my first time, and hopefully it's something I can keep going, you know. Really enjoyed it. Now, some of the things we just want to mention is Kim has just thrown the link into the chat. We have like a little wall going on where you can go and just post something you're grateful for. There's everyone else's post there. It's really interesting to go read through. Something that's nice to know is your post is anonymous. I mean, you can also put your name there if you want, but it's nice to know you can just share something without worrying at all about, you know, like we spoke, what people think. It is anonymous. And then there's also the link to mark yourself as attended. So just grab that link, copy and paste it, and then you can mark your attendance. And thanks everyone. I hope you all enjoyed it as much as I did. And I'll see you all around. Cheers, everyone.
Cool.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you all.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Yep. Thank
Nice
you.
job, everybody.